Okay, well, welcome aboard, everybody. Welcome back to those of you who have joined us last week, and welcome to all the new people here today. We're going to have a bit of a chat about, can Microsoft Teams really be your departmental intranet today? And we'll get straight into it. We've got a lot to cover today. I'll introduce everybody. So first of all, you've got myself there, Chris Likanenko, host of the Intelligent Workplace podcast. I'm going to be the MC today, and I'll give you a bit of background information. We've got Vlad, who's there, who's our government representative out of Canberra, who's going to be setting the scene for us. And then we'll be handing over to Jason Alessi, our product specialist, who will be taking you through the demo today. So Vlad, I might quickly throw it over to you first up this morning, mate, for a few words.
Sure. So first of all, welcome to episode 2 of our Teams for Government webinar. Can Teams really be your intranet? So as mentioned, my name's Vlad and I lead LiveTiles in Canberra. So when we opened up, we put a question to you. Can Teams really be your intranet? So the results have come in and 46% of you have said yes and 54% have said unsure. So we've got no no's there, which is interesting. And I'm actually surprised that there's so many yeses. I guess we'll dig into this a little bit deeper for the people that aren't sure. We'll get onto that soon. So I'll pass back to Chris to explore the topic a little bit deeper. And I'll be around at the end of the session to answer any questions.
And of course, during the session, if you want to pop a question in the question box, feel free to do that. We've got Vlad here to answer your questions today. Anything that we don't answer, we can follow up with at the end anyway. So I don't, just looking now, we don't have any questions as yet. So that's a pretty good start. So we might get into it. So the question: can Microsoft Teams really be your departmental intranet? It's a very, very topical question, probably the most common question that we're being asked right now. And speaking to partners, it sort of comes in two parts. One is, is the intranet dead? And the second part that generally follows that one up is, can Teams replace it? So we think it's a pretty important discussion right now to be having on a bit of a large scale. So what is key about this, and what we'll be showing you a bit of stuff a little bit into the session with the demo, is to think about what is an intranet to start with. And I just want to start with a bit of a quote from internally that we've been liking to share in recent times. It's up there on the screen. So how should people get to use this stuff? Whatever you call it, a digital workplace, an intranet portal, whatever you call it within your area. This is a quote that was made in a meeting, and it's not about trying to get people to adopt your digital workplace /intranet / portal as such. Call it whatever it is. It's all about the digital workplace adopting people. And there's been a lot of money spent on the past in projects where you've created a portal, invested in change management and adoption processes to force everyone to go and use this portal. And in this day and age, we're sort of starting to question whether maybe is that the best approach. So here's another quick little poll that we conducted recently on LinkedIn. We asked, how are people's intranets going? And over half referred to, the poor thing is pretty much struggling. So if we think about it, we've had to try and get people to adopt these things. In many cases, in many organisations, they are still struggling. So maybe it's time for a bit of a rethink. And then when you think about, the world across the last 8 or 9 months with this little thing that we like to call COVID, you think about people's time. It's becoming incredibly siloed, and now you're competing for their attention. And it's split across a lot of different applications as they do their work from home. People have moved in every organisation, every industry to a much more digital work style. So the good old days of having the intranet as that digital thing that they can go to, and then it's got everything and they can branch out from there. We sort of believe that's kind of old news now, and maybe even dead, because things like Microsoft Teams have just grown so dramatically fast. There's over 75 million daily active users of Microsoft Teams now. It grew astronomically. It's the fastest growth of any business application in history. So, if people are going to be in those types of tools, then maybe we need to think about how we can perhaps leverage them to get to those people. And if you look on the left-hand side of this graphic here, this is what applications like Teams are doing. Work is now being done in apps optimized for collaboration, conversation, and interaction between groups of people or even individuals. Whether it's a chat or bringing people together in the team and working, it's pretty sort of silo-based work. And if it's built like that, that's the way the work is done. And it's not just Teams that's doing this. There are other apps out there like Slack, for instance, that are creating workplaces for people to do this type of work. However, on the right-hand side of the graphic, that doesn't take the need away for us to be able to reach everybody in our organisation, regardless of where they are, regardless of what team they're part of. And if you think about the type of information that falls into that category, the head of corporate communication needs to get out an important update to everybody. They can't be thinking about the need to target this team or that team or this group. They just got to get that message out. And we've had some customers sort of try and solve that by creating a big all company team, but that becomes unwieldy very, very quickly. And some of the sort of common communications, that are out there, they're there to support that. So you think about the HR people needing to get out, govern things like policies or procedures, all that type of information, risk alerts, risk assessments, and then you've got things like learning development, training, corporate events, all the stuff that intranets have classically been responsible for delivering. That hasn't disappeared just because people are now working in Microsoft Teams, and that's a different style of tool. So the question for us is not whether Teams can be that right-hand side of the graphic, and it's not whether the right-hand side of the graphic should stop the left-hand side of the graphic working, because I'm here to tell you we're not going to stop that now. That ship has sailed, but rather how do we bridge those two worlds back together and flip the conversation into one of an opportunity here? And look, I think the thing that's happened is the way that the work is being done now, and the way that work will continue to be done now that digital disruption is being forced on everybody with COVID. It's here to stay. We're actually seeing one customer, for example, they moved to a fully digital workplace in a matter of weeks. And that customer had mapped out a 3-year program of work that was going to take obviously ages to roll out. And then COVID hit, and in a matter of weeks, they just deployed the technology, and they got really, really strong adoption. So one of the things that we've got now is that we know where people are doing the work. So if we know that a lot of people are sitting in, say, Teams for meetings, we know that then maybe they go from meetings to work in project groups or other functional groups, but they're still kind of in Teams. We have a really good opportunity to leverage that and not necessarily compete for their attention, but be where they're doing their work. It's no longer about the internet being a single web-based place that you need to drive your users to. We need to go back to thinking about, what is that intranet's purpose? And maybe it's better to think about it as maybe a set of services to deliver things to users, and whether that be, navigation, access to systems or tools, or govern content such as policies and procedures, communications, dashboards, other business intelligence tools, whatever. That's what the internet has really been about. And we just defaulted to thinking about using a web-based access point that became synonymous as the internet, and they'll still exist. And we think the internet needs to evolve into be something more, and actually leverage the fact that people are working in these tools such as Teams, and be able to get them to make their work life easier, which is kind of what it's all about. And then in return, get much better adoption and use of this thing called the intranet, and everybody basically wins. So that's a lot of words, just to sort of set the scene here. So I'll now hand it over to Jason, and he's going to walk you through almost what is like a day in the life of a LiveTiles customer, and show you some of the capabilities available to them. He'll show you some simple solutions that might help you bridge those gaps that we talked about before, but also give people a whole bunch of new capabilities, tools, information, all that sort of thing within Teams, so they can get their work done more efficiently. So I'll just hand control over to Jace here. He can take you through the demo.
So what I'm going to show you, I guess, in the next 20 minutes, 30 minutes or so, is some work we've been doing recently in the background at LiveTiles in getting our products to be more functional and more integrated with Microsoft Teams. And it really comes in two parts. So what you're seeing here on the screen now is our product called LiveTiles Reach, which is our corporate comms news/messaging platform. Now, this does live as a standalone cloud application. We will dig into that deeper on the next webinar for frontline workers. So if you'd like to know more about Reach as a product standalone, definitely join that webinar. But for today, this is all about how we've incorporated and integrated Reach into Microsoft Teams. And it's all about the news functionality and capability, and how can we bring that messaging into Teams. It's something that Teams doesn't do well, aside from the, I guess, the IM and talking in Teams and chat itself. It doesn't have that corporate comms presence where you can actually target massive groups and provide a UI like this, where your users can interact and engage with, both from a simple read point of view and an actual contributor / news owner point of view as well. So I'm going to take you through what it would look like as an end user, as well as what it would look like for a curator and someone who needs to go through the approval process and the authoring process. So you see down the left-hand side on the, I guess, the sweep bar, we've got the Reach icon. So we've actually added the Reach application to Teams. It is a Teams app, not currently in the Teams store yet, but we're working hard to get it into there. So if you do become a customer of ours, we basically just sideload that and add it to the global policies under the security permissions that you require, and then we just attach your instance of Reach to it, and effectively pulls down all the news from your cloud instance into Microsoft Teams. Now, the benefit there is really creating that seamless and engaging experience from your users. It's no secret that today there's multiple apps that businesses have, and it really speaks to the form that the word intranet has taken on, I guess, these days. Intranets is not just your standard SharePoint instance for document repository and a bit of news anymore. It is much more. It's HR management, it's finance, it's project management, it's document management, it's news, it's corporate comms, it's all of that stuff that we use day to day. And it just gets bigger and bigger and harder to manage and harder to keep track of as an end user with multiple tabs open, multiple applications. So at LiveTiles, we're really endeavoring to bring all of that to a single location and create that really easy, seamless user experience that users can just intuitively jump in and know exactly what they need to do, what information and news they need to consume, and just get on with their day and complete their tasks. So corporate comms being one of those large pieces, you'll see here that instantly as an end user, I jump into the app, I'm immediately presented with my news feed. So this is a curation of all the channels that I am subscribed to or that I'm enforced to be a part of, and is a simple roll-up. So directly in Teams, I can filter down per channel and consume news on a channel basis. If I wanted to have a more prescribed feed, as well as actually launching that news directly in Teams as well. So I can consume that information, and what you see here is exactly what you'll see on the cloud app as well. Very simple, very easy to use. It's got all the metadata attached that I need to understand. So who wrote the article? Are there any keywords attached? You'll see here that every article can have socials turned on, so it has the ability to be liked, bookmarked. We can comment, so creating that user engagement and having the users collaborate, as well as being able to share that article out as well. So for an end user, very simple, and something being a global company we emphasize also is the ability for language translation. So you'll see here, being a global company, we've had one of our Danish employees write or create an article. It is in their language. So you'll see here it's been tagged with Denmark and topics of business. We've seen who has written it, but for English speaking, I guess, employee, for me to read that, I need to be able to translate that. And we actually have automatic translation written into the product. So you'll see here that the article has been written in Danish, but for me, my primary language set in the product is English. So you'll see if I switch it over, it automatically translates that article. Now that will automatically translate any non-English article back into English as long as it's set as your primary, and vice versa. So it really creates that inclusion. The more, I guess, diverse and multicultural Australia gets, we have a lot of people in the workforce now where their primary language is probably not English. So being able to support those groups of users as well is really strong and really beneficial for business as well to be able to provide a product and let those users consume that information in their native language as well. Also, as an end user, I can receive notifications from reaching teams through the Teams notifications and activity as well. So I don't have to consume this news being notified through email or mobile app or anything like that. I can actually push those notifications directly through Teams, and I'm creating that single channel or that single funnel of notifications now as well. So it's one less app and one less email I have to read when all of my work now is being pushed through Teams, I guess. So being able to receive that information directly through Teams as well, clicking on that, launching Teams, whether it's on the desktop, whether it's on the mobile, it doesn't matter. It is the application works on both devices and both experiences. So for me, it's just creating that one experience. I can be on the go. I can get a notification through Teams saying a new article's been published, flick it up on my Teams app on my mobile, open that up, read it, and continue on about my day. So that fits into the whole frontline workers as well, which we'll touch on in the other webinar, but we're really catering for both desk and deskless workers with the Reach application in Microsoft Teams. So as an end user, there's not really a whole lot I have to do here, but to consume this news is so easy and so low touch. I mean, I can pull up any news through here, read it, like it, comment, whatever I need to do, share it out, and I'm done. And it's a matter of now switching between tabs in Teams because now my workload is increasing more and more in Teams. It's less applications I need to have open. So it's less jumping in and out of Teams that I have to do. I can jump back into a chat. I can go, look for a document again, whatever I'm doing, more of my work now is being done through Teams itself. So when we think about that, can Teams really be your intranet? It definitely can take on the new form that the intranet word now is kind of forming into, rather than kind of thinking about that static old SharePoint intranet, what it once was. I think the term intranet now is a much more fluid, much more user engaging, and much lighter, I guess, solution in kind of this modern era. Now, we've covered the end user view. So what about the news authoring and the curating of articles? So if I'm an author that has access to create that and create news, I will have the little pencil or pen in the top right, and that will drop me into editing view. You'll see here we have all of the published articles under the red line. So that is basically anything that's published and it is live. Anything above the red line either needs edits or it needs to be approved and then republished. But if we want to create news from scratch, very simple, create news button right there. And we'll see here that the editing/creating view for a user here is very much what you'll see as an end user as well. Same format, so banner, video, whatever it is at the top. Adding languages to it, very easy as well, adding the tabs. And then just all the body content. So title, abstract, changing settings like what channel to publish to. We can publish on behalf of another author if we want to. Setting the publishing routine, so we can actually schedule the publish date and the expiry date. So if I don't want to publish it on a Friday afternoon, I can actually create that article and set it to publish and go live Monday morning. So all of the stuff you would expect in that rich publishing routine, you'll find directly through here as well. Adding keywords, answering a poll. We can add polls directly into the news articles to get feedback back from those users. We can ask for confirmation. Now, if we ask for confirmation, it would actually turn the article into this green banner you see here. And it will change the way that the article presents itself on the dashboard. It will show as a banner across the top. And that won't go away for users until they have marked that they have confirmed read that news article. The same goes for marking it as an alert. Now, if you mark an article as an alert, it will show in the same format, but it will show as a red banner across the top too. Great for those typical IT outages, if there's an issue, payroll, any of that sort of stuff. When you mark it as an alert, it will notify users. They will see it as a big red banner across the top of their news feed. And you can set that to a duration as well. So it can expire after a certain amount of time given, as well as you can quickly delete that as soon as the issue is rectified or whatever the alert is related to that you've created. Again, we can turn comments on and off, very basic stuff around there. You'll see that the UI is very clean, very easy to follow. Adding images is very simple. We can upload directly from your computer. We can use the free Unsplash service. So there's a really great service to grab high definition imagery. And recently we've just added integration from Canva. So Canva does have a free subscription for the base level, which most users use. Basically allows you to select, hopefully this is a free one, any of the, nope, sorry, it is not free, any of the great designs or anything you can come up with inside of Canva, we can embed directly into our news article. So might have to start this again. Oh, here we go. So really great, I guess, feature to make your news, one, look better, I guess more inspiring for a user to read, but really incorporate more on-brand imagery for your business. So Canva is a really great, really easy to use product. You don't need to be a designer. You can get in there, you can create your templates, add your own imagery in, get creative with fonts, anything like that, and really start to incorporate it into your news to create a better UI, I guess, for your users, a more engaging experience for them, because imagery can really make or break a news article, so or any piece of content, really. It's really going to draw the users in. So, you know, I don't need to sell you guys on Canva, but we really think the integration of Canva now into our news is a huge win for everyone using the product. So once that article is done and written, basically you just need to select publish up the top. It is grayed out now because I haven't added any of the content in, but you can also drop that into an approval cycle. So before publishing, you can click the drop down and select send for approval. And then it will drop into that routine, wait for approval from whoever is selected as an approver in your organization. Once that is approved, it will then drop below that red line I showed you before. And it'll effectively go live. So that is a full end-to-end routine within the actual Teams app itself. I haven't had to go out to another platform or whatever, the Reach app itself outside of Teams and do that sort of stuff and create the news to then have it go back to Teams. The whole experience for end user and news creator has been replicated directly into Microsoft Teams. So again, we will go into more depth on the other webinar, but if you would like to know more about Reach itself and some more of the finer details and specifically the other functionality that comes with that product, definitely reach out to us and we can facilitate demonstrations outside of the webinars also. The other part of this demonstration we'll be covering is LiveTiles everywhere. Now this is a core module that has come from our intranet enterprise product. The Everywhere panel is something that is available both as a standalone product that can be used within Teams, but it can also be, I guess, consumed through intranet enterprise. And it is essentially, for those of you who have seen it, and those who haven't, is a panel ability to slide information in and out. So in SharePoint, we provide it on the left-hand side as a vertical panel, but in Teams, it is presented as a horizontal panel. And it creates a dashboard with differing experiences based on what you need as an organization. So we don't enforce any content here. It can start as a completely blank panel canvas, and you can decide what's important to bring into Teams from your intranet, from other platforms. It uses the SPFX framework. So by default, anything that is an SPFX web part in SharePoint can be directly embedded in here. We can also create custom integrations. You know, if you're looking at custom SPFX web parts, we can do simple embedding, you know, anything like that. So anything that's out of the norm that you think would be great for you to pull into a Teams experience through the Everywhere panel, it can definitely be explored. So initially you'll see here we have the starting screen is basically a dashboard. So you land here, you've got a roll up of your emails, your tasks, what's happening in your calendar, and any recent documents that you have been iterating or reading or editing, anything like that. So while you can get little snippets of these experiences through Teams, it makes a massive difference to be able to have this on one page and see it together, all rolled up as one. So being able to jump back in here, get recent documents, see what tasks I've got on, consume emails, again, something that Teams doesn't support in showing emails, and something we hear our customers say all the time. This is actually not custom at all that we've created. This is just using some, I guess, not out of the box web parts, but some web parts that are available on GitHub. You can actually run the service, inject these into your own environment, and then they become part of your web part library that you can use wherever you like. The next tab over, we have created a service menu. So again, a type of menu really that you can actually just come to and use as a navigation item. Teams, again, doesn't provide something like this out of the box, but it's definitely something that you're going to have in your intranet, right? You need some sort of form of navigation. So being able to visualize these categories and these links in this tile form like this, whether that links to something directly in Teams, whether it's in SharePoint, whether it's in another system, completely up to you, completely driven by you as the administrators of this, can decide what tiles go where, what links, what categories you want. And we can actually permission lock these as well. So we can lock these down based on specific users or specific Active Directory groups. So you can have whole categories in there that are locked down and really create that personalized user experience. Now, along with that, we can also personalize these tabs across the top. So we can lock them down and we can target those to specific audiences as well, again, based on specific users and specific Active Directory groups. So it's not one size fits all. It's definitely many sizes, whatever sizes you need for your organization, whatever experience you need for sets of groups of users, you can curate that in the back end as well. Now, we've incorporated some of our other product stack in here as well to really round off that whole, what core elements of intranets can I bring into Teams? So the profile information one is a big one for us, coming from our LiveTiles directory product. So being able to visualize my profile, update my information directly from here, really simple, really easy to do. If you'd like to know more about our directory product, definitely follow up with us outside of this as well. But to consume that information in this form, very simple for the end users as well. News, this is more SharePoint news. So again, I know this kind of looks like it's competing against Reach, but this is more, I guess, for quick notices you want to throw up in SharePoint. And if Reach is not something for you, this is definitely something that comes out of the box with LiveTiles everywhere anyway. It is called the Noticeboard, and it does present news in a similar way, but this is not a standalone product. Noticeboard is something that allows your users to create news, write to channels, and this is both consumable through the everywhere panel, as well as having that web part in SharePoint. And there's just a quick, easy way as well to create news snippets, little announcements, whatever you want to do, have it pinned in everywhere, and it's a quick little news module. Not as deep and as rich as LiveTiles Reach. We will have integration coming soon between Reach and Noticeboard, which is going to expand the capability that we can provide through both of those offerings in terms of corporate comms and news. Alerts. This is another take on the way that the Noticeboard is being used. So we can actually use webhooks and endpoints to use for triggers in other systems. So if a trigger happens in another system, we can actually have that right to the Noticeboard and provide it as an alert through the Noticeboard functionality and bring that directly into Teams. So a really great way to, again, centralize that notification style hub. If something's happened outside of Teams, for me to consume that and be notified in Teams is a win, then I can choose whether or not I want to click on that and jump out to that system and see what I need to complete. Extending on to that LiveTiles directory piece is the directory search. So I showed you before the profile information. All that profile information goes back into the service and provides that really rich directory search experience. So it's all laid out here, clean directly into Teams. I can search users based on any of the metadata and attributes against their profile. LiveTiles directory allows for vast extension onto what you can do in Active Directory. We can create rules around this, around what attributes go where, what formatting is needed, approval process, everything like that. And being able to create these much more robust and extensive user profiles is then put back into the business. So you've done all that hard work. Now let's consume that information directly from LiveTiles everywhere in Teams. My search is better. I know who I'm working with. I know who's in the business. I know what they do, where they are, everything like that. And on top of that is the org chart functionality. So when you actually capture that manager field, we can see in the org chart, we can drill down, we can see who sits where, who they report to, who their reports are. Again, all directly fed through the Everywhere platform. And just to round a couple more of these off, pulling in very important documents like policies and procedures. Again, so something that is a core piece of functionality from what your intranet would be, bringing that out of SharePoint now, bringing it into Teams, less jumping back and forth into SharePoint Teams. I'm getting that information in real time from Teams. I can consume it, I can interact, and I'm really creating this exact intranet experience inside of Microsoft Teams. To round a couple off again, so pulling pages in, creating these hub type experiences, what's important to me or what's important to your users. Again, this is using more LiveTiles technology, which is the design platform. So designing these on brand, completely, unique pages that you can't do with a generic SharePoint page. It could be something like pulling in Power BI, visualizing it in a big dashboard view like this. Again, quickly jumping in here, consuming data information, and then jumping back out. So while we are not proposing that we can absolutely replace your intranet, that's not what we're doing here, but we are trying to, I guess, push the envelope and say Teams actually can be some form of intranet in the modern era. It is not designed, and Teams definitely has flaws still. But I think we're slowly creeping up on it. And as you see here, we're bringing in those big chunks of important data sets, those important experiences from other platforms, and creating this unique single experience for your end users that looks good, is easy to use, easy to navigate. And if they can work faster and work smarter, you're going to get more efficiency. You're going to have happier workers. There's going to be less issues with the platform. All while creating an easy to use experience through Microsoft Teams. So we are doing a lot of work behind the scenes to continue our work with Teams. But right now we think we're providing some very good offerings across LiveTiles Reach and LiveTiles Everywhere with the integration we are doing with the Microsoft Teams platform. So that is the demo. Chris, I'll hand it back to you.
Thank you very much, Jason Alessi. I do love a Jason Alessi demonstration. They're wonderful. In case you weren't aware, Jason is also a part-time male model, as you can see on the screen right now. We do like to stir him up. He's apparently going off to find us another profile picture today, so we don't have to keep using this one here. So
we're
thanks,
not
Jason.
using that photo ever again.
We love it. Thanks for that, Jace. Time to wrap this thing up. Hopefully you got a bit out of that session today with that demonstration. I'll hand it over to Vlad for a last few words, and then we'll wrap this thing up.
No problems. Well, thanks for joining us today. The session has been recorded and available for viewing on YouTube. So we'll send you an email with a link to that recording, and as well as some details on our Teams offerings. I look forward to seeing you in the next session, which is reaching first-line workers, alumni, and cross-departmental groups. So thanks, guys.
Yeah, thank you very much for joining us today. If you need to reach out to any of us, you can do so via the email that was sent from last week's session or the one that's coming out this week with our contact details on that. But until we talk again, same time, same place next week for session number 3 in this Microsoft Teams for Government series. Thanks very much for your time, and we'll talk soon. Thank you.
Thanks, guys.